Today's episode of Outreach Asia is brought to you by Spaces. Spaces offers creative working environments with a unique entrepreneurial spirit. Visit spacesworks.com. And London Institute of Business and Technology. LIBT makes executive education accessible and affordable to everyone. Visit libt.co.uk.
We're back with another Outreach Asia episode, and we have a very special guest for you today. We'll be right back. Don't go anywhere. Welcome back to the program, everybody. I'm your host, Sesiri Pathirane. As you know, in Outreach Asia, we try to bring entrepreneurs, startup founders into this program, and we try to talk to them about how to build companies. It's simple. It's about entrepreneurship and how to build companies. If you are the kind of person who's coming to work at 9 in the morning and leave at 5 in the afternoon, this program is not for you. This program is not for you if that is the case. This program is for change makers that are trying to move the human species a little bit forward. Today on the program, I have a very special guest, all the way from Bhutan. He is the CEO of Thimphu Tech Park, a $6 million investment, I believe, from the Bhutanese government. Dr. Cigay Dorji, welcome to the program.
Thank you.
And I also have Kevin, I'm just going to try to say this, Rang Simuntako.
Not bad, not bad.
Okay, not bad at all, right? Kevin, he's the CEO of RQs. Welcome, Kevin.
Thank you.
Thanks for coming, especially Dr. Cigay. I know it only took me, I think, 50 phone calls to get him on the program. No, I'm just kidding. He was a very busy guy, and so thank you for coming down. And I know you were on a very tight schedule, and thanks for taking the time to do this with us. And Thimphu Tech Park. I came across Thimphu Tech Park probably about 3 years ago, I believe. So tell us a little bit about it. What is Thimphu Tech Park, and what do you do there?
First of all, I would like to thank the team here at Outreach Asia for having me today. Thimphu Tech Park is Bhutan's first IT park, and it has been in operation since 2012. So basically, the tech park was set up as a response to the challenge of rising youth unemployment. Bhutan is a small country with a small population, less than 1 million. But even then, because of the free education system that our government has been offering, and it still offers, so there has been a lot of increase in the number of university graduates and high school graduates, and there has been no commensurate increase in the number of jobs created.
Okay.
And we had some kind of youth unemployment issue, which was touching at around 10%. So as a response to that, the Tech Park project was initiated, and at the Tech Park, we try and invite investors from outside to start businesses in Bhutan, and also we try to groom our own entrepreneurs.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So this was, when was it started again?
The operation started in 2012, and
okay.
I have been there right from the beginning.
Oh, nice, nice. So what are what is the scope of work that is involved with you? What do you work on?
When we started, it was a very difficult beginning. We came under a lot of negative praise. We were called, the tech park was called as the white elephant.
Okay.
But one thing I did, my team and I did, was to persevere. And finally, by around 2014, things started changing. And as of now, in our existing building, which is about 60,000 square feet, the entire commercial space is leased out. And we have a vibrant community of entrepreneurs who are working from our incubation center, which is actually a co-working space like you have here.
Okay. Yeah. Okay. The interesting thing is that, when governments initiate a lot of these new projects, very similar situation in Sri Lanka when President Rajapaksa started the southern port. Everybody's like, oh, this is just a white elephant to hype his name up, and you hear this all the time. Nice. But it takes time to turn things around, right? I mean, any projects, just like any other startup, takes time to get results. So, what is the situation now? And do you have startups that are being incubated there at the moment?
Yes, so in the startup scene as well, since 2012, when I got involved with the incubation center, there has been a lot of changes. Okay. When we started in 2012, there were a few entrepreneurs, but the word entrepreneurship and the buzz around that was not much there. And the people, working to promote entrepreneurship, they were all working in silos. They are different organizations. But over the years, we have collaborated and we have done a lot of things, like Startup Weekend, for instance, which became a big buzz. And our Prime Minister himself has, in a sort of way, become a fan of Startup Weekend. He likes the format and the energy that it creates. And we just had a big national level Startup Weekend last year, where hundreds of youths participated. And a lot of push from the government and different sectors, and there are a lot of people, community leaders involved in trying to promote entrepreneurship in the country. I think it's a good thing.
Yeah, certainly. And I came across your Prime Minister's speech. I think it was on TEDx, I believe. Okay. Yeah. And that was like amazing. And I think there was a lot of hype about it, and everybody loved that speech. Yeah. And so progressive at the same time.
Yeah, I think he's I would say our Prime Minister is a great guy, and that his speech, I think, got more than 1 million viewers on YouTube. It's done a lot.
And there was a lot of hype about Bhutan, after that speech, right?
Yes, and we are indeed a carbon negative country, and we pay a lot of attention towards the environment and the preservation and promotion of our culture. These are parts of what we call gross national happiness.
So talking about being the first carbon negative country in the world, I want to get to that in detail later on. But I want to hear Kevin's point of view on this as well. And you've been involved in the Thai ecosystem for a long time. What did you guys do initially when this ecosystem was starting to happen in the early, I believe around 2011, 12?
Yeah, well, I guess I happened to be there for the start of the venture capital and tech community in entrepreneurship. And, entrepreneurship in itself is about driving change and then, taking the path less taken, right? So it requires support from as many different sectors as it can, because it's a challenge. It's very hard. And the number one rule is to never give up, right? So I was fortunate enough to see the beginning of that. We were founding the School of Entrepreneurship and Management at Bangkok University, and it's a landmark program that was in collaboration with Babson College, and we hosted venues for events and supported the community in whatever ways that we could.
Yeah.
And I think that's very much what we could do.
I think this is a decade-long game, right? I mean, you're not going to be able to see results overnight, and you really have to be willing to put a lot of effort into it, over a really long period of time, in order to see results. And when you spend that time, you have results. That's what we're seeing, all around in a lot of these ecosystems in Asia.
Yeah, I mean, quite often you have to be willing to take the first step, before the mass or the majority will come after you. And in the case that we saw in Thailand, the government then supported the different groups and initiatives.
Right.
And so, having government support, I think, is very important. And
Absolutely.
Bhutan is very, very brightly so done.
Right. Thimphu Tech Park, I know you facilitate a lot of the FDIs coming into the country as well.
Yes.
So what I know you play a prominent role in it, and what exactly do you do in terms of facilitating? What do you help with for these companies that are coming into Bhutan?
So at Thimphu Tech Park, we have two components: the co-working space where our entrepreneurs work from,
right,
and actually even the FDI companies, when they initially come in, they start pilot operations from the incubation center, and then the commercial space, which is the bigger part of Thimphu Tech Park, that is occupied by the foreign direct investment FDI companies here.
Okay.
And my role has been to try and reach out to investors. Okay. And it has not been very easy because we don't have much marketing and promotion budget. However, we have been lucky. I think I have been interacting, with a lot of different people, who own companies, the CEOs of companies, and at least few of them, showed positive, they showed interest in coming to Bhutan. And right, as of now, we have 9 companies at the tech park, 9 companies which are all foreign owned.
Oh,
yeah,
nice.
Operating from there.
Okay.
Yeah. So I think one thing I did has been, we try to maintain, build trust and credibility.
Yeah.
And integrity is what
we
stand for.
That is very important. Yeah. In this game, yeah. So if I were to look, we're seriously, like at LIBT, we're seriously thinking about, because we have trainees coming in from Bhutan anyway. We're seriously thinking about operating from Bhutan as well. Yeah. So if I were to rent, a space and hire a couple of Bhutanese, and basically employ them at Thimphu Tech Park, can that be done?
Yes, it can definitely be done.
Well, what is the process like? Is it a lengthy process to do
this? There are steps to get your company registered and incorporated and finally obtain a trade license or the business license to operate your business.
Okay.
It's possible to do the whole thing in 1 month.
Oh, really?
Yeah, provided you put in the right papers.
Okay.
Yeah, sometimes some papers, the government agencies might say that, this is not going to do, and some that takes time. But one of the companies at the tech park, they did it in 1 month.
Oh, really?
Yeah,
nice.
They did everything done in 1 month. They got it done in 1 month. Yeah.
So what kind of companies are these?
So out of the 9 companies, 2 are purely software development companies. So they have programmers working for them.
Okay.
And the other companies are more kind of a mixed mode. They are BPO type. Some of them are BPO type, so they provide services from Bhutan for their clients outside Bhutan.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they hire the Bhutanese young people to do that.
Right.
And some are not entirely IT, but they have IT support function being given by Bhutanese IT professionals.
Okay.
From Bhutan.
Yeah. Okay, that's nice.
Yes.
Kevin, you wanna add something to this? Because
Sure.
What would be the best strategy to get companies involved in the Bhutanese ecosystem?
Well, financing is actually one of the most important things for entrepreneurial activity. It's the lifeblood of the company at its early stages. So what we did by providing a venue for this to happen, we basically enabled a space, an environment in which foreign investors, local investors, were able to meet with the entrepreneurs. So we had a rocket pitch series, and after 2 years, it started to pick up, and people started to hear about it. And one of the important things too is also liquidity events in terms of financing, because when you finance a venture, you want to clearly want to make something out of it. You have to be able to sell and buy, and these things before about 2012 was practically non-existent in Thailand. It was very much of a challenging area. So we would have a lot of strategic investors, but not so much financial investors. So I think it's very interesting that Bhutan has chosen to go the route with foreign direct investment. I think that's the right way, and it's a good conduit to making everything happen.
There's BITC Overseas Expert Program.
Yeah.
And I kind of checked it out on the site. Would you explain that to us?
Yes. So when we started the incubation center, we knew that we didn't have the experts inside Bhutan.
Right.
So actually, BITC stands for Bhutan Innovation and Technology Center, and that's the name of the incubation center within the tech park. So my team and I, we manage both the BITC and the tech park as a whole. And this BITC Overseas Expert Program was initiated right from the very beginning to bring in experts from outside who are interested to come to Bhutan and provide their services, mostly voluntarily, for a few months. So yeah, when we started, this played a very important role. So we got a lot of good experts from outside, and they played an instrumental role in making the place a vibrant one. So they added a lot of, they brought a lot of expertise, and they added a lot of fun and color to the place. So we were able to actually start the incubation center very nicely because of the presence of overseas experts.
How many are
I think
are they, like, do they come and go? What is the model?
Initially, because our commercial space site was not doing well, so we focused more into the incubation center. So we had a lot of experts coming in, and we did a lot of activities. And slowly our focus kind of, attention went towards the commercial space with the FDI companies. So we couldn't focus much on the overseas expert program. But then I think so far, I'm not sure of the exact number, but I think somewhere around maybe 7 to 10 experts have come in from outside. They have worked from BITC, and they have helped our entrepreneurs.
That's nice. That's nice.
Yes.
Do you want to add anything, Kevin?
Oh yeah, sure. I guess you touched upon the major points of what an incubation center would want to have. Essentially, you have to have the experience from the mentors, the financing, of course, as we spoke about, and I guess the last remaining component is just the knowledge, the experience, and the education. Is there any sort of educational program that's also tied into the
we do conduct trainings and workshops and seminars. Sometimes it is not easy to get good resource persons, but whenever we have we get hold of a good resource person, then we try to conduct. The short workshops are all given free, and when we have structured training which runs into a few days or weeks, then we charge the participants.
I see. I want to talk about our sponsor, and before we go into the next segment of the program, I want to talk about Spaces. Spaces, we're operating out of Spaces as well, and as you see, This is a very vibrant community with
Yes, it
all
is.
kinds of entrepreneurs, from fintech to health tech to you name it. Spaces operates in multiple different locations in Asia as well. And Fred Lake and the team, and I want to thank you guys so much for sponsoring Outreach Asia. If it wasn't for you guys, this program wouldn't be possible. And thank you, Spaces and the team. We value your contribution a lot. Thanks again. And thank you so much for the presents as well, by the way. And Bhutanese Amla Herbal Tea. We don't know who the founder is, but if you come across this video, please reach out to us. We'll connect you with some of the distributors here, maybe, and maybe that might work out for them, I wanna. What I've kind of seen is that Bhutanese are very active on social media, comparing to most of the other Asian countries. How has that affected the knowledge flow in the economy?
Especially Facebook and WeChat and WhatsApp.
WeChat,
I think
yeah.
the people have adopted them in a big way. So now we don't talk much about the negative impacts. Maybe we have accepted it as a part of life now, but especially initially, there were a lot of people expressing reservations, the negative sides of social media, including the increasing divorce cases, which some people attributed to social media, because making it easier for someone to meet a partner. So I'm not sure. No study has been done about that. But then I think social media is a tool. So like any tool, you can use it for good purpose as well as bad purpose. And I think some people do use it for bad purpose. And maybe the other thing is, especially when it nears an election, there is a lot of frenzy and a lot of anonymous users, saying good things or bad things about different political parties and things like that. So overall, so I think there are good side as well as bad sides of it.
And here in Thailand, there are entrepreneurs that are, these are individuals. They're basically selling goods only on Facebook. I mean, this is a huge industry, by the way. And they're not even going through any of the payment gateways. They just share the bank details. And so the money is being directly deposited to the bank, transferred to the bank, and they ship the items over. Do you have any information on that, Kevin?
Well, I mean, we're very fortunate in Thailand to have the financial system that we do have. Right now, my current company is in cryptocurrencies. So, it's just like social media. It's a tool. It's a tool that can be used for good, for bad. And we're fortunate enough to have a government that is looking to be quite advanced in terms of regulation and enabling for entrepreneurs to actually create and find opportunities to do their work.
Actually, a lot of people were kind of like paranoid about what the government regulation is going to be on cryptocurrencies, and especially cryptocurrencies and ICOs, right? So I met Kun Achara from SEC a few weeks ago, and she was just amazing and so down to earth and very open to feedback, and which I didn't quite expect from a government organization, And the bottom line was like, okay, so what she said was, okay, this is not the final version. We don't understand this either completely. So let us know what we should be doing, is what she said basically at the end. And I'm trying to have her on the program specifically to talk about ICOs and cryptocurrencies in Thailand, the regulation aspect of it.
Definitely. I think they deserve a round of applause, really, for the mindset and the attitude that they've taken towards it. And I guess, both of our countries are right now with new leadership, I suppose. And, we're very excited that we're being very progressive now towards the changes and the new things like crypto. How's your new king, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Our the executive branch of the government is led by the prime minister. The king is the head of the state. Currently, our government has not issued an official stand on cryptocurrencies yet. So I feel that they're looking at what other countries are doing. Definitely, they must be watching how Thailand is tackling this and maybe looking at other Asian countries as well.
Yeah.
So I think they are going to take a cautious step, and hopefully it will be a positive stand that they would take.
Yeah.
I think even whether Bitcoin survives as a currency or not, there are a lot of old coins as well. At least the technology behind it, which is the blockchain, is something that we should not ignore. I mean, it has decentralized data storage.
Yeah.
Is something that everybody's excited about, and there are a lot of practical use cases.
Yes, I think so as well. So yeah, even in Bhutan, so some of the people in the higher circles that I have talked to, so they have no reservation about blockchain.
Right.
But when it comes to cryptocurrencies, I think they are taking some time.
Serious.
Looking at how other countries are tackling this issue. Yeah.
Well, that's understandable. Yeah. I mean, it's still very early on to make decisions on it, and it's a very early, new technology, right? Talking about Bhutanese startups, and I want to hear your viewpoint on this, and what are some of the challenges they're facing, and what are they doing better at?
Yeah. So as I mentioned earlier, there has been big change in the startup ecosystem in Bhutan. So there are a lot of young entrepreneurs now, young people wanting to be entrepreneurs, which was not the case just a couple of years ago.
Right.
So the buzz around entrepreneurship has actually picked up. Now, still, there's, I think, more work to be done when it comes to changing the mindset of young people in the schools or colleges. Their preferred source of employment is still the government,
right?
And next the private sector, and there's, I think, starting with their own company comes somewhere at the last.
Right.
But still, then overall, there has been a positive change, and. Currently, there are a lot of young entrepreneurs. I would say, based on my experience, there are a lot of young entrepreneurs who are going in the agriculture sector and the tech sector. So agriculture, agri-tech sector, maybe it also includes food processing and things like that, as well as including maybe herbal tea and all that. Yeah. And the tech sector, there are a few who are doing this. For instance, Uber version for Bhutan. Yeah, there has been three guys who have started that now. I think that is Bhutanese market probably is too small for 3 players. And we have one young man from Tech Park who started something called Dish at Door. From any restaurant in Thimphu, you can order your food, and his team would deliver them. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Like a food panda version. Food panda,
Right. Yeah.
Nice.
So, yeah.
And I came across Housing.BT.
Yeah, Housing.BT is one of the pioneers.
Okay.
So yeah, he started fast, and he has been able to, I think, inspire many others.
Right.
So he's doing pretty well. In Thimphu, I think there is more demand than there are houses. So he's not able to make so much money by providing a space to for the landlords to advertise their empty houses and all that. But I think he's doing quite well by providing maintenance services, because Housing.BT also provides plumbing, electrical, and all that.
Plumbing and Right. Talking about startups and entrepreneurship, I want to announce the scholarship program we've put out as well. From an idea to reality, intensive startup crash course. So we've allocated 5 scholarships for Bhutanese, and if you visit our site, LIBT, you can read all the details. All the details are listed there. You can apply on the program on the site. So if you need any additional details, you can contact Dr. Cigay.
Yeah.
And we're also giving away a ATHE Level 7 postgraduate diploma for a Bhutanese for a Bhutanese citizen. So you can, whoever is watching this program, they can apply for that as well. So if you need any details, if you need more details about it, please do contact Dr. Cigay. He'll brief you guys on it.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, no problem.
That's so nice of you.
And
so kind of
so the startup crash course, I want to explain to you a little bit about it. It's basically it's a 5-day program that covers branding, sales, finance, legal aspects, go-to-market planning, product development, mentor review progress. Basically, what you would go through in an incubator. The content is basically what you would go through in an incubator. So if you are an aspiring entrepreneur, or if you're a corporate exec who's trying to quit the day job and get into startups, or if you're an executive that is trying to get an understanding, that is trying to get a better understanding of how startups work, this is for you. We have 5 scholarships available. And please do contact Dr. Cigay.
Thank you so much. I think you're very generous of you.
No problem. It is conducted by all these experienced entrepreneurs here, and some of those guys are running incubators now.
Yes.
So yeah, there you go.
Yeah, thank you.
And what kind of support the government is giving for the startups in Bhutan?
So for Bhutan, as a small country, I think the government has been playing one of the pivotal roles. So right from I think some years back, the government has had an entrepreneurship program, entrepreneurship self-employment program. This has picked up and it has gotten bigger. So they set aside a lot of funds for training.
I see.
And also the government is driving the banks to provide funds to the entrepreneurs.
I see.
Yeah, so the government is playing the central role in Bhutan, I think is maybe unlike many countries.
So do they provide like sort of an interest-free kind of a loan scheme or a low-interest kind of a
Yes, the government has started a low-interest loan scheme program.
Okay.
And also now, starting from this year, they have started something called PSL, Priority Sector Lending Scheme.
Okay.
So through this program, the banks are required to provide loans to entrepreneurs.
Okay.
At a certain percentage, which is not high. The percentage is only at around 8%.
Okay.
And the banks are required to show that they have provided loans to entrepreneurs. Loans to entrepreneurs should account for certain percentage of their total portfolio.
Oh, I see.
Yeah. I think it's
that's
2% or something. Yeah.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So it's required by the regulatory. It's a regulatory requirement.
So even 2% is quite a lot, out of the portfolio, isn't it, Kevin?
Yes.
Yes. That's quite nice. You
Yeah.
know? Yeah.
Yeah, so you're right. So some of the banks were saying that whether there will be so much demand or so
really?
they were concerned. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's the part of this game is changing the mindset of the people as well, right? Because this traditional Asian mindset is that you go to school, you graduate, and you get a job and play it safe.
Yeah.
Whereas entrepreneurship is different.
Yeah.
And you deal with a lot of uncertainties, and
Right.
you don't know whether it's going to work out or not.
Yeah.
And so changing that mindset and getting people to kind of accept that, and it's okay to fail, is something that you have to, kind of communicate to the people, right?
Yeah.
And that social acceptance and that social pressure kind of
Yeah.
like makes a huge difference.
Yeah. So regarding this priority lending scheme, so the banks are apparently worried that there may be a lot of defaulters. As it is, as the literature shows, I think maybe 90% of the startups fail.
Yeah.
So the government and the central bank, they have come up with an innovative scheme to get the loans insured.
Oh, okay.
So the
How
insurance
is that?
companies have agreed to insure the loan.
Oh,
so
really?
they don't need collateral. Yeah.
That's great.
Yeah.
That is that's a nice way to put it.
Yeah, yeah. That's
So
nice.
when they wait, so let me get it right. So the startup is being insured by the insurance company.
Yes,
And-
the loan is insured. Yeah.
The loan.
The loan component. Let's
Okay,
say
well-
that if I take 1 million baht loan,
Okay.
then I have to pay 8% interest
Right.
to the bank,
Okay.
and I have to pay certain premium to the insurance company because
Yeah.
the insurance company has to pay this loan if I'm not able to pay. So that's how it works. So adding the premium and the interest, so overall interest might come a bit high, but it is still better
No, that's
than
fine.
borrowing
Not
from
being able
money
to
lender.
pay,
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I wonder if there's anybody else doing it. I mean, that's very innovative, actually.
Yeah, it's very innovative. It's
I-
very exciting. I envy your position. You're in a place where you can actually make a difference. If anyone's into entrepreneurship, it's the passion that causes the buzz. And the energy and the vibe. It's about the risk that we take. It's about the sort of entrepreneurship as the number one driver of change. When you're in a smaller community,
It's sometimes it's easier to
it's
And
explain things.
and talking of that, I think we have a lot to learn from Thailand, for instance. I think
Sure.
the buzz is really huge here.
Yeah.
At the Techstars APEC Summit, I met a lot of Thai people as well who are doing amazing stuff. And,
Yeah.
the ecosystem, I think, is really matured, I would say, from the perspective of a Bhutanese. And I
Yeah.
think your government is also doing a lot through I think NIA and DIPA,
Yeah.
National Innovation Agency, and the Digital Economy
Yeah.
Promotion Agency.
Yeah.
I think it's great.
I met Dr. Pichet, who's the minister at Digital Economy. Amazing. Like I was so surprised the fact that a government official was so knowledgeable about that particular domain. I mean, he knew what people wanted, and you hardly see government ministers, especially in the Asian context, right? Who'd understand what the community actually needs. I was surprised actually.
Great.
So this next question I'm gonna ask you, I think Kevin might be able to put in your 2 cents as well, but I want to hear your thoughts on this first. The local entrepreneurs, should they be focusing on solving local problems, or should they be looking at solving global problems? What is your take on
I
that? I want
think
to hear.
this is a very good question, especially for the Bhutanese entrepreneurs
Yeah.
and for me as well, who is trying to help Bhutanese entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
Our market is small, so they should really be looking beyond Bhutan. But then what I have seen is that many of them are focused on local problems.
Yeah.
I think they won't be able to scale up and grow.
Right.
The reason why they are focused more on local problems is that many of our young people don't have much exposure. They have
Right.
not been outside.
Yeah.
They have not been to Bangkok as well, so they are not able to imagine going global.
Yeah.
But hopefully in the future we'll have more young people who have studied outside, coming back and starting companies that would go global. I hope that would happen.
Absolutely,
Yeah.
absolutely. And also, like what I would say, I mean, I've been saying this all the time. A lot of the Asian entrepreneurs, they try to connect with Western ecosystems all the time. For example, try to get a visa to go to Silicon Valley, or try to get a visa to go to London, for example, of the known ecosystems. But it's really hard. If you're 3 people working out of your house, forget about getting a US visa. Forget about getting a UK visa, right? So, but the Southeast Asian community is quite large, and you have a lot of funding options available, and a lot of events are happening, and you can easily get a visa. And so I was like, why, don't you collaborate within Southeast Asia,
Right.
where there's a lot of growth is expected to happen, over the next decade or so, right?
Right. When you say that, it's kind of it begs to question why. Why do you want to go there? So you could take the converse of it, and we can bring whatever they're looking for to them here.
Yeah.
So that's what some of the ecosystems have been able to do.
Yeah.
The successful ones will have the knowledge, the expertise brought to them through the activities and events. So yeah, that's
I think sharing part of it is what's most important also, right? And sometimes we come across a lot of these entrepreneurs. They have these ideas, but they're scared to talk about it. As if somebody's going to steal it. And so I've come across so many people. I'm working on this, but they never talk about it. If you're scared to talk about the idea you're working on, you're doing it wrong.
Well,
I'm sorry.
It's all in the execution, right?
Absolutely.
So, you have to talk about your idea. Otherwise, you can't gauge the market and you can't determine the actual demand for what you're trying to offer. And like I said, with as far as going global or local, go global. That's what having people from abroad comes and gives you that extra perspective.
Yeah.
And sometimes we'll see that an entrepreneur's personal experience might lend to a local problem, and they have expertise in how to solve that pain point. But when that is in line with the market and as a large, the global market, then you get the attention of finance from abroad, and then you get those amazing projects that come out of nowhere, and and it has its roots where it belongs.
Yeah. What are some of the success stories out of the experiments you've been doing over the last few years?
There has been few successful startups that we have supported, but they are all locally based. So they are all supporting local market. They are in the local market. Yeah. When we initially started, there was one guy in the construction sector.
Okay.
Yeah, we started a company and he's doing well. Company is called Bhutan Professional Services. Okay. By the way, I think he has been involved in the new hotel that is coming up. It's going to be, Dusit Thani in the center of Thimphu. And
that's nice.
He was also involved in construction of the Lee Meridian Hotel in Thimphu.
Oh,
yeah, he helped in managing the project. He had worked in the government before, comes with a civil engineering background. So he's doing well. He started from our incubation center. And we had one guy who was he was very passionate about building an electric vehicle.
Okay.
From Bhutan.
Really?
Yeah. He has, I think he tried to patent something as well. He comes with the forestry background, environmental background, and then he was so passionate about green technology.
Right.
But that has not really taken off. But now he's tied up with Nissan.
Okay.
Nissan electrical vehicles coming into Bhutan and all that. I'm not sure whether Nissan has taken part of his technology. I'm not that sure. Okay. But then one of the success stories from the incubation center is that we got a big businessman in Bhutan interested in his technology.
Wow, right.
So that big businessman partnered with him. So he was able to get much needed capital.
Okay.
And one of the overseas experts from Singapore helped him to negotiate the deal with the businessman because he didn't have any expertise in that. So yeah, there's a whole thing coming together.
There you go. The community aspect of it, right?
Yeah.
I mean, you learn from each other, and that is why the community aspect of this game is extremely important.
And one thing about Bhutan is that I talked previously about 90% of startups failing, but I see that the Bhutanese startups are not able to scale up much high, but at the same time, the failure rate I think is not that high.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Okay. I think they don't become that big, but at the same time, not many die.
Yeah.
So it becomes a kind of family-owned kind of business, and they sustain on a small scale.
Okay.
That seems to be happening right now.
We're actually planning to come down sometime towards the end of July or August to Bhutan. So it'll be really interesting to see, meet some of these guys that are working on these projects,
Yeah, if you do come, we would definitely organize some workshops and seminar at the tech park with your expertise. Yeah,
absolutely. We'd love to.
Yeah.
We'd definitely love to. Yeah. I'm sorry, I'm forgetting his name.
Mr. Tashi.
Tashi.
Yeah.
So I'm in touch with him as well. And what is iHub? Are you familiar with what he does?
Yes.
Is that different from the?
iHub is the first privately owned co-working space. So Tashi has.
Okay.
Tashi went to work in Singapore for I think few months, and then he saw what's happening in Singapore, and then he came back and he opened a small co-working space.
Okay.
It's nothing like what you have here. Yeah, you should not come to our place expecting similar things. Ours is on a much smaller scale. But yeah, he's doing this along the same model as the co-working spaces in Thailand or Singapore. And I would say that he's doing a great job. He's a passionate guy.
Okay.
He just had his first cohort of entrepreneurs graduate from his incubation center. And
really? Okay.
Probably he's now taking a new batch.
Okay.
Yeah, he's a passionate guy, and we do similar things, but we work together, supporting each other. We involve him in our events as well. Yeah.
Before I forget, this electric car, I have a friend, actually there's a Sri Lankan startup who's working on an electric car called Vega. I don't know if you have heard of it. So they've put out the first prototype, and the product looks amazing. I mean, it looks better than Tesla actually. I don't know about the technology. I don't know
nice.
how the technology is like. Vega means speed in Sinhalese. Yeah, you should check it out.
Sounds good. Yeah,
I'll connect you to him. So Bhutan. This has nothing to do with startups, but I want to hear your side of the story. Why is it called Land of the Thunder Dragon?
Yeah.
How's that?
So Bhutan didn't exist as a unified independent country until the 17th century.
Okay.
So in the 17th century, there was a great statesman by the name of Shabdung Ngawang Namgyel, who united all the different Valley kingdoms, and he brought them under what Bhutan is today. So he unified them under his control. Okay. He was a great man. If you look at history, we see all big things written about him, and maybe most of these are semi-religious texts, so we may not be able to believe all. But then there were some Europeans who visited Bhutan at that time, and their records show that he really was a great man and very open-hearted man. They wanted to establish a church in Bhutan, and he allowed them to do that. But what they have written about him is that they thought that the practice of Buddhism that was happening there, they thought that the Bhutanese were worshipping the demons and stuff. Yeah, that's what the records say. Anyway, so this guy, the founding father of Bhutan, Shabdung, the sect within Buddhism, there are few sects. I think 4 major sects in Tibetan Buddhism. The subsect of Buddhism that he was heading was known by the name of Druk. Druk means the thunder dragon, and the name of the country in Bhutanese also became Druk. It actually came from the name of the sect of Buddhism that had the majority following in Bhutan. Yeah.
Did you know about this? Yeah, I didn't know about this either. That's really cool. Okay.
And the reason why that sect was named as the thunder dragon or Druk, according to sources, is that when he was founding this, starting this sect, some signs that came in the form of roaring thunder in the sky. So, they called it as the Druk. And if you go to Bhutan, you will see a lot of companies and products named as Druk. And Druk means Bhutan. Yeah, like our airline is Druk Air.
Yeah,
So,
okay.
Yeah.
Gross National Happiness Index.
Yeah.
I wanted to ask you about this. Now, I was quite surprised in the beginning when I, came across this probably about 3-4 years ago. What is it?
So, gross national happiness is our development philosophy that I think we have followed for a very long time.
Yeah.
In fact, this founding father I talked about, he is said to have mentioned in some of the writings that he mentioned that if the government cannot make the people happy, cannot create the conditions for happiness for the people, then there is no reason for the government to exist. So he mentioned that there was in the 17th century. And then, now under the current dynasty, the royal family in Bhutan, the monarchical system of government, our kings have been very progressive.
Right.
And they have shown exceptional leadership skills in terms of, maybe talking about environment, for instance. When the whole world didn't care much about the environment, our kings were already very, very much aware. And our fourth king, for instance, he was awarded some big prize in environment for championing environmental preservation. So actually, the gross national happiness, the name gross national happiness, came about from an answer that our fourth king gave to a journalist. Is said, I think, somewhere in India in sometime in the 70s.
Oh.
An Indian journalist asked him, maybe that time Bhutan might have been very poor in terms of economy. So he asked him, what is your country's GDP? And it is said that the king immediately replied, saying that in my country we are more concerned about gross national happiness, GNH, than GDP. So that's from where the text actually came from, this phrase, gross national happiness. And then the real lengthy interview that our fourth king has given on GNH is in the Financial Times in 1987.
Really?
So I think he rarely gave interview, but in 1987, a Financial Times journalist came in, interviewed him, and that is like the, I think, proper written historical record on what he meant by this policy of gross national happiness. And it became more popular towards late 1990s. And currently, the gross national happiness is a serious pursuit of scholarly research. So far, I think 7 international conferences have been held on gross national happiness.
Really?
In the last one, the current Prime Minister of Bhutan, he is more for the practical application of gross national happiness. So the theme of the gross national conference was GNH of business. How can business be, more human-centric, people-centric, making the employees happy? So GNH of business, there are indexes developed, and the next international conference on gross national happiness is going to happen in Malaysia, Sarawak. A university there has agreed to host it. So yeah, it's an annual thing. There's a gross national happiness conference happening, and it has become a serious study. And previously there was no measure for it, but now the gross national happiness at the top, there are 4 pillars, as we call it, and then there are 9 different domains. Within each domain, there are different indexes developed, and yeah, with these different indexes, you can see how happy a person is. Yeah, so
I think we can continue this conversation until tomorrow morning.
More about that.
So finally, before we wrap this up, what kind of help the entrepreneurs there would need? If somebody were to reach out to you, and how can they reach out to you for one? And what kind of support are you going to be needing?
So I think one main area is in terms of capacity. We don't have many skilled people and experienced people. So anytime person with experience visits Bhutan and gets in touch with us, we try to put up a program together, taking advantage of their being present in Bhutan. And normally either if it is a short program, free, or with a nominal payment if it is a little longer program. So that is what we try to do. And to the people who may watch this program, so I would like to request them to get in touch with me, and if they are traveling to Bhutan, I would be very happy to meet them and see what we can do together and collaborate. Yeah, that is definitely one area, and I think the entrepreneurs are always in need of funding, so maybe that's another area. If there are people interested in investing, we can see what kind of mechanisms we can work out to make that happen.
Sure, certainly. Anything you want to plug in, Kevin, at the end?
Yeah, absolutely. I think that one of the unsung heroes is actually the role of the government. And we've been talking a lot about that tonight. And traditionally, as I've seen elsewhere around the world, some of the best success cases come from the government's ability to support the right sector. And when you see that happen, you see a country develop a specialization towards something. And then when that's in line with, say, the market or the need that people as a whole need, then you see that specialization become a unique core. So traditionally we have, like, for instance, hospitality industry in Thailand now is world-renowned, and that's most definitely due to the government support in it. So when I look at Bhutan, I see a couple of specializations that you guys have more experience than everywhere else. Gross national happiness is one of them, and the other one I wanted to ask about is this thing about the carbon footprint. It's very intriguing that you guys are where you are right now. You're world leaders in this, and if the government supports entrepreneurship in a way that brings that to the rest of the world, I think that's a good formula for success. So I mean, how is it that you guys have achieved this with carbon footprint?
I think a lot of credit goes to the leadership. So our kings have shown great leadership in taking care of our environment because they knew that this would be very important for our future generations and our own stability as a nation as well. So I think a lot of credit goes to the leadership. And going forward, our new constitution, which was adopted in 2008, requires that Bhutan always maintains minimum of 60% forest cover. I think right now it is 70 plus.
Wow.
And 70% plus. So at all times in the future, we should never go below 60% in terms of forest cover. So
I don't think I've heard anybody else putting out something like that.
Yeah.
That's something.
Yeah. Thank you.
And we also want to express the especially those who are in the government sector that are making a lot of these decisions in entrepreneurship. You always need to understand that you have to play the long game. You're not going to see results out of this in a year or two. It's a decade-long game. And Singapore, for example, government spent a lot of money for more than a decade actually until they start seeing results. Similar thing in Thailand. 2007-8 started very early on, and around 2012 things kind of started picking up, and in 2018 now you're seeing all kinds of results, just like Silicon Valley or any of these other ecosystems out there. Anyway, so we're running out of time too. We have to wrap this up, and I want to thank you, Dr. Cigay. Thank you very much for coming down, and I know you've been really busy, even here in Bangkok as well. And thank you, Kevin, for taking time. Hopefully, we'll do another episode with you. I want to talk about your company as well.
Sure.
And because he's working on a couple of really interesting things. He has a fund he has put together for crypto-related investments. He has trainings happening in trading crypto trading side of things.
Yep.
We'll do an episode on that later, hopefully next month.
Sure.
And again, thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for having
Thank you
me.
for the
Pleasure.
gifts again, and
No.
thank you Spaces, thank you Viv and the beautiful team, Ta, our executive producer here in the program, and the video team. Thank you so much, and we'll see you next week on another episode of Outreach Asia.